Something has just come to light about King Charles that will leave many in Britain furious. It's tied to his own food company, and once again, it raises serious questions about where his loyalties truly lie. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. It has now been revealed that King Charles III's very own food company, Duchy, has been using halal slaughtering processes. That's right, products sold under the King's brand are tied to Islamic ritual slaughter. Now, let's be clear, this isn't some minor issue. Halal slaughter involves cutting the throat of the animal while prayers are recited, and for millions of British people who expect transparency in food production, this revelation is nothing short of disgraceful. Customers buying Duchy products under the belief they were supporting traditional British farming are instead funding practices rooted in Islamic law, and this raises the bigger question: why does our king keep bowing to Islam? Charles has a long track record here. For decades, he's spoken warmly about Islam, publicly praising Sharia principles and even calling Islam one of the greatest treasuries of spiritual wisdom. Time and again, he's chosen to align himself with Islamic causes, while ordinary British citizens feel their own culture, heritage, and traditions are being sidelined. This is King Charles of England in 1993. This is supposed to be the King of the United Kingdom, a monarch whose loyalty should be to the people, the culture, and the values of this nation. Yet, with every passing year, Charles seems more and more willing to embrace and promote practices that have no roots in Britain's Christian heritage. And it makes you wonder where his loyalties truly lie. If the crown is meant to represent the people, our history and our traditions, then why are we seeing decisions that directly undermine them? Why are our institutions bending over backwards to accommodate practices that most of the country never asked for? This is about far more than one food label. It's about trust, it's about identity, and it's about a monarchy that increasingly looks detached from the people it claims to represent. The truth is, Charles has been in bed with Islam for decades now, and this latest revelation is just another reminder that our monarchy is not standing firmly for the British people, but is pandering to outside pressures. And the British public has every right to be furious. In other news, Matt Goodwin has issued a stark warning about inflammatory political rhetoric following Charlie Kirk's death, urging politicians and commentators to moderate their language when discussing Conservatives. Matt argued that the same individuals who caution against dangerous rhetoric regarding immigration and its potential to incite violence against minorities fail to apply similar standards when labelling Conservatives as fascists, Nazis, or far-right. He emphasised that such extreme characterisations have persisted since Donald Trump announced his presidential candidacy in 2015, with constant predictions about democracy's demise and human rights violations. Stop with the catastrophizing, tone it down, Matt stated, calling for a fundamental shift in how political opponents are discussed in public discourse. Matt urged Western elites to engage in self-examination and moderate their approach to political discourse. There are lots of people in the ruling class in the West who need to look in the mirror and tone it down, he declared during his GB News appearance. The political commentator advocated for a fundamental change in how Conservatives and classical liberals are perceived and discussed in public forums. Start treating Conservatives and classical liberals as what they are, normal people with a different opinion. Matt emphasised his comments reflected broader concerns about the radicalising effects of social media platforms, where extreme rhetoric can flourish unchecked. The discussion touched on how online environments, particularly X, can amplify inflammatory content and potentially inspire violent actions among mentally unstable individuals who fail to distinguish between internet trolling and genuine calls to action. During his appearance, Matt drew parallels between Mr. Kirk's death and some of America's most notorious political tragedies, stating, "Charlie Kirk's death is a political assassination on the same scale as John F. Kennedy's and the attempted assassination of Donald Trump." The comparison underscored Matt's view of the gravity of the situation and its implications for political discourse. Meanwhile, arrangements were being made for Kirk's final journey home. Vice President J.D. Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance plan to travel to Salt Lake City to offer condolences to Kirk's family and close associates. Following the visit, Mr. Kirk's remains, along with his family and friends, will be transported to Phoenix, Arizona, aboard Air Force Two, according to sources familiar with the arrangements. Matt specifically highlighted recent inflammatory language from Labour politician John McDonnell, who had referred to Nigel Farage as a Nazi earlier in the week. This example formed part of Matt's broader critique of political rhetoric that has intensified since Trump's entry into presidential politics in 2015. The commentator traced a pattern of escalating language that consistently portrayed conservative figures as existential threats to democratic institutions. Social media's role in amplifying such rhetoric emerged as a key concern during the discussion, with participants noting how platforms like X can create environments where extreme statements gain traction. The conversation acknowledged how online spaces often reward provocative content, potentially influencing vulnerable individuals who might misinterpret hyperbolic political commentary as genuine calls for action. Matt Goodwin's intervention ultimately serves as a wider call for restraint and responsibility in political discourse. By linking Charlie Kirk's death to a culture of escalating rhetoric, he warned that unchecked language can have real-world consequences. His appeal was not only for politicians, but for media figures and elites to reflect on their own role in shaping the debate. As Kirk's family prepares for his final journey, Goodwin's words underline a sobering message. If public discourse continues to be fueled by hyperbole and demonization, the risk of further division and violence will only deepen. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you haven't already, make sure you drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.